Hi everyone, I'm back this week and I'd like to talk about found object art, which is art made out of the stuff you find, and a special project in Detroit called the Heidelberg Project. So I brought a slideshow to show you what I'm talking about. This is the artist Tyree Guyton. He lives in Detroit and he is in charge of the Heidelberg Project. He grew up on Heidelberg Street in Detroit. And he moved away as an adult. And when he came back, he saw that it had fallen into disrepair. The houses were empty and falling down, and people had left, and it wasn't such a good neighborhood or taken care of anymore. And he wanted to make it better. So he set about cheering the place up, making it a place that people wanted to see. And he painted the houses, some of which people lived in, some that were empty. And he collected objects from all over the place and made sculptures. And those are found object sculptures. He collected all the garbage that was around and made it into things. And here's a house called the Numbers House. And he put numbers all over it. And these houses, people came to the neighborhood and it was more cheerful and it was safer. And it drew attention also to the empty houses and what was going on there. And look at all these stuffed animals he found. And he put them all on this house. This is the party animal house. Do they look like they're having a good time? Here, he made a sculpture out of an old stove, a bunch of pipes and gloves and a boot. I see a cowboy boot. Do you see it? And I think this is the same sculpture in different days. Maybe people move around the arms so it's pointing different ways or saying something. What's in the oven? I see a pig. He also liked to paint faces, so you see a lot of painted faces around. This is the vacuum cleaner forest. These are old vacuums. I don't know if you recognize them because you don't see this type much anymore, but he collected that many in the empty houses and around the neighborhood and made a forest out of them. It looks like they're all wearing gloves on the top of the handle or shoes. And this one is called Noah's Ark, and he's retelling the Bible story about all the animals in the boat in Noah's Ark. Do you think that people liked what he did to the neighborhood? Do you think it was better than it was when the houses were empty and they were falling down? Or do you think people didn't like it? Maybe they just thought it was a whole bunch of garbage and they wanted it to be cleaned up. A couple times the city came and bulldozed some of his houses and did clean it up, but he kept making them. He didn't stop. This is another artist named Mr. Imagination. Gregory Warmack is his real name, and he makes sculptures out of found objects too. And you can see the horse that he's riding here is made out of all kinds of different things. I see a lot of bottle caps in the sculpted face there. And here's a detail of one of his button sculptures. So he finds what is around and makes something beautiful out of it, things that have been thrown away or discarded. And just like Tyree Guyton, he creates beauty and good out of things that have been thrown away. And this is the Button Cane self-portrait. So that's a picture of Mr. Imagination. He made it for himself and made these like button snakes or hair. What did he use? What do you see that the whole thing is made on? The top, it looks like the handle of a shovel. And here's another figure made out of all old bottle caps. You recognize any of these bottle caps? These are pretty old ones. And here is a bottle cap lion. Nobody knows who made this, but they know it was made after 1966. How do you think they know that? Maybe because some of the bottle caps in there weren't made before 1966. I don't know. That's just my guess. We looked at two artists that work with found objects, Tyree Guyton and Mr. Imagination. And we saw some of the really interesting things that they made out of things that were thrown away. So they took garbage and made something good out of it. So that's what I'd like you to do this week. Look around, see what you have. Look at your recycled materials or things that you want to throw away and see what you can make. I have a couple of examples here. I have a little scorpion that I made a while ago out of old resistors and capacitors I found somewhere, and some old thread and nails and wire. And I have this little creature here made out of wire and yarn and buttons. And I have a little doll here made out of old thrown away scraps of fabric and beads and thread and things like that. Her head's kind of fallen off. She needs a repair. But anyway, see what you have around that's not being used. You can look in your recycling for bottles and cans, cardboard, anything, caps, string, sticks. You can go outside and look for nature materials. Or you can take even, some toys and things like that and create a sculpture out of them. It's really up to you. We've seen only a couple of ideas. But I'd also like you to watch the book, Magic Trash. There's a link that I'll send out, and you can watch the story of Heidelberg Street and the Heidelberg Project, which is really interesting. Another interesting thing, if you want to go on a field trip, ask your parents or guardians. There's a place called the Albany Bulb, and there's tons of found object sculptures that people have made outside there. It's not very far from Alameda. And maybe you could do a field trip there and see some found object sculptures there. So I can't wait to see what you make. I hope you have fun.